Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. In his maiden budget, Treasurer Guy Barnett has revealed sky-high debt and deficits, but insists the state is on track for a surplus by 2030. Key areas from health, education and police are seeing increased spending, while revealing a handful of GBEs that won't be up for sale.
Armed with his first budget, the Treasurer's got a lot of pressure on his hands.
I'm feeling very positive and confident about the future for Tasmanians.
But with red ink across the board, turning the state's finances around will be a huge challenge. The deficit's still hovering over $1 billion, forecast to drop down to $236 million. Debt is continuing to spiral, expected to reach more than $7 billion by the end of June, then blowing out to $10 billion by 2029.
We could have a slash and burn approach. That is not our approach. There is a sensible pathway to surplus.
Though that figure, which they aim to reach in 2030, remains a mystery. Spending is on the up, health accounting for 34% of it, followed by education at 23%. The health spend is up 12%, including redevelopments of the Royal Hobart and Launceston General Hospitals, among other projects. There's $1.6 billion for roads over 4 years, road maintenance and Bass Highway corridors receiving investment. Funding for police and emergency services is up 7%. For body cameras, detection wands and WISE recommendations.
This budget builds a better Tasmania for the future, and for now, it's delivering on the things that matter.
The government also revealing a short list of state-owned businesses it won't privatise, in line with recommendations from Saul Leslake's initial report, as well as scrapping the proposed merger of TT Line, Tasports and Tasrail. The pathway to surplus doesn't include savings from the new efficiency unit yet. They'll be relied on to bolster the balance sheets down the track, with long-term plans to eventually cut 2,500 public service jobs.
This time next year, when I'm standing here delivering next year's budget, I expect there will be further improvements that I'll be able to announce.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
A strong lineup of infrastructure projects on the horizon has Tasmanian industry feeling buoyant, but state debt and the measures needed to bring it under control is a cause of concern for many unions and peak bodies.
8 months since the last state budget, the books haven't improved.
The promises of savings last year haven't come to fruition. Now we're at a point now where the state needs to work very hard and very quickly to get its budget under control.
On a mission to do just that, the Treasurer's efficiency plans aren't winning many friends.
This budget is bananas. It is just absolutely fanciful that you could achieve those savings and not have a very negative impact on the community.
Confirming today 2,500 jobs will have to go to get the public service back in shape, and several GBEs still on the market.
The government thinks that we can improve Tasmanians' lives and the delivery of public services through job cuts, privatisation and a wage cut for public sector workers.
Meanwhile, more than 5,000 people sit on the public housing wait list, waiting more than 2 years on average.
But what we're currently doing is not working, and we would really encourage the government to have another look at those targets and ensure that we're delivering homes for people who really need them.
The $10 million a day health spend, the largest in Tasmania's history, also landing relatively flat.
The numbers sound fantastic, but the message is grim.
There's not one incentive to recruit or retain nurses and midwives in the budget.
Meagre wage increases won't help the education sector either, despite infrastructure spends in schools.
To keep the wages at 2.5%, to not actually have a plan for how we're actually going to address workload in schools.
The reality of Tasmania's finances is that not everyone can be a winner, and with already crushing state debt only predicted to grow, something must give.
We're getting to a point where the credit card is tapping out.
If you can't manage the budget, you cannot govern Tasmania. This is the most unsustainable budget in Tasmanian history.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, let's turn to the day's other local news, and attracting GPs to rural areas has been one of the persistent problems in Tasmania's healthcare system for decades. But a new generation of doctors is starting to choose community connections over the pressures of the emergency room.
A bill of good health for Tasmania's rural medical services.
This is actually a good news time.
Beaconsfield's family medical practice, a shining example of what a rural clinic can look like.
whatever the services I was bringing into the community, they always appreciated and always been at my back.
Growing from a single GP practice to a 5 full-time doctor operation with pathology on site.
When I came here, I promised the community I'll be here for the next 30 years.
A shortage of qualified staff once one of rural health's chronic problems, with long-serving GPs in regional areas starting to hang up their stethoscopes.
It's really hard to actually replace those doctors as they retire.
For far too long, many of our bigger universities keep pumping out medical students without a thought of where they're going.
However, that's starting to change.
We're seeing more and more doctors choosing general practice training.
But long is the road between deciding to be a GP and actually becoming one.
Getting the doctors through that process is the challenge.
And while financial incentives may be the key drivers,
it's about supporting the family and making sure that people move into communities and become part of the community.
Including access to childcare, education, but also spousal employment opportunities. For fourth-year med student Nathan, who's considering a career as a GP, the general practice work-life balance is a big drawcard.
It's a lot more you choose how to work, you can fit in your lifestyle around your job.
Ensuring rural communities have the medical care they deserve and finding a new home in the process. Tom Crosby, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, let's return to the state budget now. We're joined by Treasurer Guy Barnett. Treasurer, let's cut to the chase. We have several topics that we want to discuss with you tonight, so I'll throw you a topic and you have 20 seconds to respond. How do you feel about that?
That'll be fine. Thanks, Kim. Give it a go.
Okay, Treasurer, firstly, what's in the budget to help Tasmanians with? Number 1, power. Your 20 seconds starts now.
No problem. Well, look, Tasmania already has the lowest regulated electricity prices in the nation. Secondly, the electricity prices are being supported by a $60 renewable energy dividend. It's coming off the power bills right now.
Well done. Next to rent.
In terms of rent, look, we have a record $500 million for cost of living support. For those doing it tough. Secondly, we've got 10,000 homes for social and affordable homes to increase supply to make it easier for people to get into a home.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer. Now, how does the budget help tackle crime and make Tasmanians feel safer?
Well, firstly, it's a top priority for Tasmanians' community safety. We've employed more than 300 police since being in government, 61 in the last year, and we're supporting our police with body-worn cameras, wands and the like.
Let's look at health now, and how does it address hospital waiting lists?
Well, this is a record funding support for health, $14.5 billion over the forward estimates. That's $10 million a day. In addition to that, $70 million for elective surgery. So health is a top priority for us.
Okay, nicely done. You've made those 20 seconds very well, Treasurer. Now, a final question for you, though. Is this a budget which will restore Tasmanians' faith in the Liberals as being able to manage the state's finances?
Well, this is a budget that's about building a better Tasmania now and for the future by investing in the things that matter, like health, housing, cost of living, education. We're proud of that, and we've got a sustainable pathway to a surplus, and growing the economy is absolutely essential, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, Treasurer Guy Barnett, thanks for your time tonight. A wayward gas bottle may be responsible for another Spirit of Tasmania setback. Vessel 4 was undergoing an engine test alongside Port in Leith on April 15 when a foreign object entered one of its thrusters.
It was determined that the bottle had been lifted from the seabed through operation of the thruster.
Yesterday they didn't front up with a full answer about the shutdown of those engines. In fact, they pretended it didn't happen or they didn't know about it, which is just as bad.
Minister Abetz says the incident was an operational matter and did not result in an emergency shutdown. In what's believed to be a nation first, a bus is being used to raise awareness of gender-based violence. Launceston's Zonta Club and the White Ribbon organisation teaming up to buy advertising space on a metro bus. The eye-catching image rolling out with messaging on attitudes which can contribute to serious crimes against women.
For every person who walks down the street and sees this bus passing, it will make them think about why is this violence happening?
The advertising will run for the next 6 months. If you're desperately chasing warmer weather, it may have just become a lot easier. From September, Qantas will resume direct flights between Hobart and Perth, the first time the Flying Kangaroo has flown the route since 2023. It's a welcome boost for both travellers and Tasmania's tourism operators.
We might get those visitors that are just looking for ease of access at the times that suits them to come into Tasmania, and importantly, this is also a connection and increased connectivity with places like Europe, Rome and Paris.
The service will operate 3 times a week, most months of the year, and provide an additional 32,000 seats between the Tasmanian and West Australian markets. A 7-day extravaganza dedicated to the celebration of science and art in Tasmania is preparing for its return. This year's Beaker Street Festival will take over Hobart, offering more than 70 activities, exploring connection, diving into artificial intelligence and human inevitabilities like death.
We're really trying to bring people together for fun, immersive experiences. We want people to realise that there's so much science in everyday life.
The festival runs between August 13 to 19, coinciding with National Science Week. After almost 110 days of grit and determination, a Tasmanian man is close to finishing an epic marathon of marathons. Trent Henderson covering more than 4,500 kilometres, all for a cause close to his heart.
4,600 kilometres, the equivalent of travelling from the state's north to the south 23 times over. That's how far marathon man Trent Henderson will have run come tomorrow.
I'm extremely proud of the willpower that it's taken from myself to get to where I am.
The 26-year-old set himself the mammoth task of running 110 marathons in 110 days.
I'm super surprised with how my body's handled this.
Clocking up the kilometres for a cause close to his heart. Raising funds and awareness for local mental health charity Speak Up, Stay Chatty.
He started off with $6,000 and to think that it's gone out to $42,000 is a testament to I suppose his effort and what he's been able to achieve. But
he's tackled a gruelling 42.2 kilometres every day over the last 3.5 months.
Today it's back to the grind, back out here running.
Approaching the final leg of his journey 109 days into his challenge today. Both a physical and emotional test, conquering some of his fears, including running in the dark.
Now I'm pleased to say that I quite enjoy running in the dark now.
I'm the only person out here. I've got the track to myself.
His mum, Mandy, by his side every step of the way.
So I'd go out, take food and have a bit of a run, bit of a chat, and it was always really special.
As for his next task, we'll just have to wait and see.
It'd definitely be running, but I'm not sure yet.
Rebecca Gadaneris at 7 Tasmania News.
An incredible feat. Well, e-bikes are now hitting the streets of Hobart. Beam expanding its fleet with the rollout of 100 Apollo Light e-bikes joining the city's existing e-scooters. It's hoped the addition will support commuter demand and ease traffic congestion. Since launching in Hobart, Beam has supported over 600,000 trips across the city, clocking over 1 million kilometres. More than 100 parents and educators will be joined by some of the country's top experts in youth mental health this weekend at a symposium organised by the Rotary Club of Launceston. Saturday's free event hoping to help turn the tide of mental health among young Tasmanians.
The rates of mental illness for young people aged 16 to 24 has risen nearly 50% in the last 15 years.
Registrations are still open at the Sally's Ride website. The Northern Tasmania Football Association will celebrate the nation's oldest culture this weekend as Rochely and Georgetown run out for Aboriginal round. The occasion all the more significant for one footy veteran inducted into the organisation's Hall of Fame.
Being labelled a legend has left Zane Brown lost for words.
It's just, I don't know, there's no words for it really, I'm just speechless with it, it's a great honour.
The 8th Aboriginal legend inducted into the NTFA's Hall of Fame, Zane's been pulling on the boot since he was 11. The small forward having a major impact in the competition.
Zane is quite a popular footballer, regarded well by his current teammates, but also those who know him as competitors and rivals.
The Rochalee Tigers preparing for this year's Aboriginal round. The game routinely draws in 2,000 spectators.
Yes, it's a different feeling altogether. Said it feels like you are run out onto a final sometimes.
The iconic clash kicks off with the club's version of the Long Walk. An opportunity to pay respect to the land, it also has other advantages.
A decent walk that time in the morning, it's good for the legs and that, keep you fresh.
Also ready to run out on the field, the NTJFA's under-17 girls are keen for their first Saturday matchup.
I'm really excited. We've got the brand new Guernsey on today and I'm really excited to show everyone how cool it looks, and it's just like an honour, really.
Kicking goals for inclusion. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The Jack Jumpers have been busy this NBL off-season, bringing in fresh talent from across Australia and the US. But while there's plenty of new faces, some fan favourites have moved on, with one key spot on the roster still hanging in the balance. The Jack Jumpers roster is shaping up differently this year, with some major changes at the top. First, they've lost their skipper, Clint Steindl, calling time on his playing career. Vice-captain Fabian Krislovic also moving on, leaving a big gap in the leadership group.
We're lucky we still have a few guys that have continued with the team over the years, and we'll be relying heavily on them, but that captaincy process will kind of happen behind closed doors when they all get in town.
The club focusing on Australian talent, locking in Kobe Williamson, Ben Eyre, Nick Marshall and Josh Bannon.
That is tough from Josh Bannon.
They'll join returning names like Will Magnay, Sean McDonald, Anthony Drimmick and Majuk Dang, who are all locked in. And there's a reward for persistence. Nick Stoddart promoted from development player to the main roster.
He deserves it. He's worked really, really hard for the last couple of years, and he showed a lot last season for us when the games that he played.
G-League recruit David Johnson signs on as an import, leaving one spot still open and questions swirling around the potential return of vice-captain Milton Doyle.
I wouldn't assume it's Milton. I think we're definitely deep in a conversation with him, and keen to see how that negotiation goes over the coming weeks.
With a few more moves still to come, the Jack Jumpers are building with one clear goal in mind: getting back to their championship contending best.
That's the aim, is to get there, and we think we're going to be very, very competitive.
The Tasmanian Netball League is set to acknowledge First Nations people this weekend by repping special designed ball and bibs. For South East Suns, it will add an extra pep in their step as they face a tough test against second-placed Kingston.
It's incredibly important to acknowledge the First Nations people. So it's very exciting to be able to wear a bib and support that on the court as well, especially on that public forum like that.
The club also celebrating a special milestone, 10 years since its establishment. A $2 million upgrade will be put to the test on Saturday as Launceston returns to Windsor Park. The troubled deck's been out of action since August, with the Blues playing every game away this season so far. Both men's and women's looking forward to their homecoming.
It means a lot, it's nothing better than playing on your home ground in front of your home crowd. So, it's going to be a big opening.
Meanwhile, Longford's men are hoping enough lessons have been learned from a round one thrashing by North Launceston.
Just playing a more structured brand of footy. I think we come in probably a bit, not necessarily underprepared, but just not quite ready for the level that North brought round one.
Round 6 of the NTFA Premier League kicks off on Friday night at Utah Stadium.
Good evening. Hobart and Launceston both 17 today. It was 18 in Devonport and Burnie. St Helens saw the state's top with 20 degrees. Friendly Beaches not far behind with 19. 18 at Low Head, Flinders Island 17. 16 on King Island and at Smithton. Ouse 15. 14 in Grove and Strawn and 13 in Lyweni. Low cloud is seen about the west, with high cloud also building over southern Tasmania. A frontal band sat to the south of the state as high cloud lies over eastern Queensland and New South Wales. Tomorrow, high over the Bight will extend a ridge over central and eastern Australia. West-southwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots across the east and west, increasing up to 30 knots in southern waters, with southwesterly swells at 4 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued tomorrow for coastal waters between Wineglass Bay around to Low Rocky Point. Partly cloudy skies embracing the south this Friday, 15 the top for Hobart and Huonville, Campania 16. Plenty of sunshine in the north though, Launceston, Devonport and Georgetown, all 16 degrees. A bit of cloud in Burnie with 16 also, 14 with easing showers in Strawn. Partly cloudy in Wynyard, 16's the maximum. A lovely sunny day in St Helens, 16, Swansea partly cloudy 17, and similar conditions in Port Arthur with 15 forecasted there on the Tasman Peninsula. Forecast for Saturday, another frosty start, but fine apart from light showers about the west. And as we welcome the very first day of winter on Sunday, we'll wake to a morning frost while showers continue across the west. And on Monday, more showers for the west extending to northern and central districts later. We'll take a look further north now. Some storms brewing over Perth tomorrow, 23, a frosty start in Canberra, remaining warm in Darwin with 31 degrees. Partly cloudy in Hobart right now, 12 degrees. It's clear in Launceston with 8 and mostly clear in Devonport with 11 degrees. That is all from me this Thursday night, Kim.
Okay, thanks, Cara. And that is where we leave it tonight. Good night, everyone.
And dozens of injured and desperate. Hundreds of Palestinians storm a warehouse of the UN World Food Programme, carrying out heavy bags of flour through the crush of people. Nearly 3 months of Israeli border closures has pushed the people of Gaza to the brink of famine. This mother and daughter scavenge for food.